Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going in Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found. And, of course, taped live at the Twitch. Twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. We're about to talk about last night's WWE Raw. We're going to talk about a couple news items. First, quick reminder, Thursday and Friday of this week, we are off, so there's not going to be any UK watch along. No Numbers Don't Lie. No Smash Zone. No SmackDown or Rampage reviews, but we will have content going up on YouTube and the audio realm as well. This week we've got a review of SummerSlam 2005.
Yeah, I'm putting that together right now. Well, not right now, but I'm in the process of putting that together.
In the general time period of now,
yeah.
So that should be a lot of fun. And then, of course, next week we've got the Friendo Awards, and we've got our 2022 predictions, which is always a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's an episode I arguably look forward to most during the course of the entire year.
Have you written down any of your predictions yet? Have you given much thought to them? Because
no, I usually don't.
This year was pretty darn. I mean, for given how crazy this year was, I feel like 2022 can't be as nuts. But
didn't we say that last year? We do predictions about 2020.
When we were doing predictions about 2021.
Yeah.
I don't know. I predicted Punk and Bryan both going to AEW. That's kind of crazy stuff right there. I thought that was kind of out of left field. So I don't know. I kind of felt like we knew that like pandemic was going to, kick things back into gear. But like given everything that's happened, I don't know what could happen next. I feel like it's going to settle down a little bit in 2022. I don't know. I don't know how you outdo All Out. I don't know how you outdo that.
Yeah, I know.
That's a big deal.
It is a huge deal.
Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, that's what's happening. The next week's going to be the same thing. Thursday and Friday we're going to be off so that we can do not this for a couple days and then hop back into the day one, WWE's day one.
Yep. I'm here looking over my predictions, like end of the year champs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Not like super close, but not that far off either.
Yeah. There you go.
Fun.
We're going to talk about what we saw last night on Raw. There was some good. There was some not so good. Probably more not so good. But first, let's talk about this. I feel like this is a public service announcement.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have better outreach than this actual company that this happened to. Pro Wrestling Tees. Right? News started popping up on Reddit over the weekend that Pro Wrestling Tees had suffered a data breach resulting in some users' information, potentially including credit card numbers, being compromised. Pro Wrestling Tees sent letters to some customers which detailed the nature of the breach. Quote,
here's this. It's not the full letter. It's just the salient bits.
On November 1st, 2021, Pro Wrestling Tees was informed by law enforcement that a small portion of our customers' credit card numbers had been compromised. We immediately conducted an extensive investigation of our system and concluded that a malware virus was the source of breach. We are providing you this notification in an abundance of caution in case someone actually viewed or had access to your information that would have included your full name and credit card information. Abundance of caution, they're leaving timeliness out of the equation there.
Yes.
Because this happened on November 1st, and then these people didn't get this until...
starting this weekend.
Like,
so, I mean,
December,
they were
6
bailed
weeks.
out like less than about a week ago at most.
If I'm not mistaken, when I send you an email...
It's there immediately.
Within moments.
Yes.
It gets zapped to space and then zapped to you, and that's like boom, boom. Real quick.
Yep.
That would not take 6 weeks, nor should a letter take 6 weeks. I mean, I understand a couple of days.
Well, I think the idea is that they just sent the letters recently, not 6 weeks ago.
Well, the entire process of getting the letters,
doing
all that stuff still shouldn't take 6 weeks. This is a very important thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have tweeted this out.
I know. Sent emails to everybody who's made purchases on the sites.
Here's the thing. Nobody should really blame Pro Wrestling Tees for having their data compromised because that happens quite a bit these days. That is just a normal thing that happens in business, right? But 9 times out of 10, any reputable company will immediately inform you
Yeah.
that your data has been compromised, so you can take the appropriate measures.
Yeah.
And on top of that, here's the thing, because I was talking about this morning, and you were saying, I don't know if this is going to affect AEW's shop as well. I'm almost positive it would. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to check this again, but I don't think there's been any clarification on that.
As far as I'm aware of, no. While you check that, I'll continue here. So in response to the data breach, Pro Wrestling Tees is offering their customers a year of credit monitoring and ID theft protection almost immediately. Once this news broke, Pro Wrestling Tees customers took to social media posts that their credit card had been used to make unauthorized purchases and voiced frustration that Pro Wrestling Tees made no efforts to notify customers of the breach sooner. 6 weeks is too long. Sending out letters in the mail takes too long. As soon as they knew the nature of the breach, that should have been, they should notify their customers. I don't know why it took so long for them to start telling customers and then to do it via mail. I don't get it.
Yeah, and there's still to this point, we're filming this at 12:41 Pacific on the 21st. There's been nothing from them about that. No mass tweet about the situation. So I don't know. That's not a terribly great way to do business. So we don't use Pro Wrestling. We have a shop there. We never put anything there. We never advertise it. It's all our old stuff.
Yeah.
We haven't had really any sales there because people probably just don't know what's there.
We don't really utilize it whatsoever. We've kind of moved most of our stuff over.
FriendoMerch.com.
It's FriendoMerch.com these days. Hopefully, this is a learning experience for Pro Wrestling Tees. They realize, hey, if user data gets breached, we need to tell our users immediately so they can take action. And then, you go on Twitter or Reddit or wherever, and you see a bunch of people. We had a friendo here in chat say unauthorized charges on their card they used on Pro Wrestling Tees. So
yeah, on Twitter I had the same thing. I mean, honestly, they're going to do what they're going to do, but we're just saying this to the friendos. If you have bought something from Pro Wrestling Tees, there's a possibility your shit's been. So check your bank statements. If you have definitely used your card with Pro Wrestling Tees over the past 6 months, maybe consider getting it closed down. Because from what I understand, anecdotally, I saw a lot of people saying they got hit on Black Friday. So yeah, that sucks. Anyways, let's move on. We're about to talk about Raw here. One of the more interesting aspects of Raw was the sudden and violent demise of the tag team of AJ Styles and relationship of AJ Styles and Omos. It didn't necessarily come out of nowhere, but it did feel like about 3 weeks of story were jam-packed into one segment and match.
Yes, in about 3 minutes, yes.
And if you thought they were going to stay a team, guess what? You're wrong.
You're wrong.
And if you thought it seemed kind of rushed, WrestleVote says that's fact. Quote, if it felt like they sped up the Omos and AJ Styles split, it's because they did. Source says both superstars have significant plans in early 2022 and wanted any type of blow-off program done prior to the major Rumble and Mania events. This is awesome news. I really want AJ Styles to get back into the singles division. Maybe, I don't know, take on Damian Priest and win that U.S. title back. Thought he was great. Maybe even more than that, the WWE title. I like that he said when he suggested to Omos, hey, we should go after all the titles. That would have been kind of cool to see if they were to do something like that.
I know.
But unfortunately they didn't. And now they're split. I'm happy to see it. I do think that they probably could have done this over at least a couple more weeks,
Yeah, I think they're going to have their match next week. Now, I don't know if this is going to be their blow-off. They're going to have the one and only match, or are they going to do their true blow-off at day one? Still kind of feels like something they could have taken. Obviously, they could have taken their time with, but this is what happens when Vince is indecisive about Rumble and Mania plans, is that they just kind of do stuff, and then once decisions are made and they realize they have a timetable they have to adhere to, they have to fast-track stuff. And again, it's not a situation where we didn't see this coming. They've laid some groundwork into the split. Problem was, you could have the split and have it be more dramatic and interesting than just Omos having a conversation with The Miz and The Miz telling AJ what Omos says, and then Omos just not tagging in,
Yeah, that was sort of...
You could build that moment and make it seem a lot weightier than just having it happen, essentially.
I mean, think about the Festival of Friendship. That was sort of the last big angle that people really fondly were like, wow, that turn was so well done. And yeah, I that, you know, the execution here, Omos spilling the beans to Miz and then Miz just saying it to AJ Styles while Omos is standing there staring. It felt underwhelming. And so yeah, I think there's definitely ways they could have done this better. I think Omos is terrific. I don't know exactly how much more he has like learned, because, you know, there was that thing where they were going to split him earlier and somebody raised their hand and said, well, I don't think Omos is ready to go solo. And I don't know how much more. It's not like he's taking bumps or anything, but I don't think they're going to have him take bumps for a while. So yeah, I don't know. Where do you see? I mean, we could just start with this, given that this was one of the more significant aspects of the show. What should be? I mean, AJ Styles can go in any number of directions. He's incredibly versatile. He's probably going to go after singles gold. In terms of him, which adds another big name to their stack of like A- players who aren't quite Roman level, but you know they're all vying for that title. There's a ton of them now. That he could do whatever. What do you think they should do with Omos once he's past AJ Styles?
Wow, that's a tough question. Part of me feels like he's going to be in the Rumble, and they're going to have him have like a really huge performance in the Rumble, only for him to be eventually eliminated by whoever wins the Rumble, whether it be Brock or Roman. On the way to that person going to WrestleMania and either winning the Universal title or reclaiming the Universal title. That kind of feels like the direction, at least short term, where they're going. Long term with him, I honestly don't know, because we don't know how far along he is in terms of the in-ring aspect of things. Like, I thought last night from a performance aspect, I thought Omos did a really good job. I thought his reaction to not tagging in, I thought was all pretty solid. You understood completely what he was thinking during that whole time.
Yeah.
The creative behind it, not so great, but I thought his performance was pretty solid. And I think from a character aspect, he knows his character. He knows how to perform that character. I think it's just whether the in-ring work is up to that level too. And I still don't know.
Let me ask you something. For a guy like him, does the in-ring work matter that much?
No,
opposed to they've kind of, whenever you have somebody like this, they sort of book themselves into a corner.
They do.
Because a guy like that, because of his ring work, he's not going to be the guy. I don't know that you want to put the WWE title. I'm just shooting for the moon here. Like, at what point are you like, yeah, let's put the title on him? Like, do you need a certain level of ring work? I think.
Yeah.
But then, you know, there are plenty of limited guys out there.
Yeah, and you know, I'm not expecting him to put on 5-star classics, and it's less about what moves he can do but more so what stories he could tell.
Yeah, but okay, the story of Omos is he's unbeatable. That in itself is such a difficult thing to write.
We saw that with the Fiend. We know that was his story.
Yeah.
You know, you have to basically attempt to murder on him to beat him, or at least to not lose to him. You know, that was against Seth. That's what it was. You know, unless he has a match against Goldberg, it basically takes drastic measures to beat the Fiend. We saw that because he was basically unbeatable. And yes, they have a habit, WWE does, of booking themselves in the corner with characters they really want to push as unbeatable, because they don't know how to add dimension into those characters.
Yeah.
You know, now if someone can expose a flaw in Omos's in-ring game, and that's not to necessarily say that leads to him losing, but at least makes him vulnerable, then that's interesting, because there's a story for Omos where, like, okay, I have this weakness. I need to improve my in-ring work in this capacity. Now I work on doing that. Now, if they do that, I don't know, they'll probably just book him as unstoppable, which that's not interesting because there's no dimension there.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what you do with a guy like that. Like, I mean, you can look at the past. I mean, guys that Braun could do much more in the ring than Omos. Braun was, It's funny because when Braun was the most one-dimensional, when he was just murder, destroy everything guy, I thought he was at his hottest because like you have this ultimate destruction machine. Omos isn't really that though, although I guess they could make him that. They could try to make him. It's funny though because when you think about these two guys and just in a very general way, Braun and Omos have similarities. They're both giant men who, break everything, who destroy everything, and they can't be toppled, right? They saw Braun, well, according to reports, physically as being past his prime, and it's like Omos, he doesn't do a lot in the ring. It's not like he has to, but Braun didn't really have to either. He just elected to do some cool shit sometimes. I don't know how you write a guy like this. I don't know how WWE does it because it's like, why? The question was always like, why wouldn't he just go straight for the title?
Yeah, I know.
You know?
I know. To make it believable, like he can't be beat, so just go straight to the top. I know. With Braun, though, they didn't exactly ride him with a ton of dimension, but
they tried to later, but originally,
I mean, like his feud versus Roman.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
That's when he was at his
Braun,
hottest. Yeah. And he was just doing cool shit every week. That's kind of what it was. He was just doing cool stuff. He was destroying, like physically destroying stuff. And that's not beating opponents, but destroying stuff in the process.
They were having they were being pretty creative with him destroying everything.
They were.
And him saying, I'm not done with you yet was really great.
Was great, yeah. But I mean, like at the end, he ended up losing to Roman,
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he was completely and totally unbeatable. He was he was destructive. But, it was possible because he was so hell-bent on destruction, you could take advantage of that for your own benefit,
Yeah, but also, Braun also was never particularly written all that well. Besides that feud, like once they tried to start giving him dimension, they really didn't know how to do it. Like I thought when they started giving him dimension and he was like playing the stand-up bass in that series with Elias or whatever it was,
yeah.
I was like, oh, he's got personality there. He's got personality, and they never knew. Mm-hmm. They would always have a hard time, going between, oh, he's supposed to be a monster, he's supposed to be a relatable human being. I feel like when I see Omos's performance as a character, I feel like the dude probably has it because like I see him when he interacts with AJ in the sillier moments, he definitely has the performance stuff there. Whether or not they can bring it out of him and book him in any manner that keeps him interesting, but not have him be this monster who could just take the WWE title whenever he wants it.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. Like once they start, they're going to get to a point.
If they want to do this right, they should have AJ beat him. He should have to cut corners. Wow. He should have, because if anybody's going to know Omos's weakness, it's going to be AJ. Let me finish. AJ cuts corners. He cheats to beat him because he knows whatever Omos's weakness is. You have the blow-off match at day one. Omos wins that. He wins the feud. Everybody moves on. You get that first loss out of the way. Just get it out of the way. Just get it out of the way because it makes sense at that point because AJ knows him better than anybody. If anybody's going to know what his weakness is, it would be him. Get it out of the way. Just get it out of the way. And then you don't have to worry about that anymore.
I don't even know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that.
I don't even know if I know about that. I'm not sure it's a great idea.
I'm never opposed to, hey, get the damn loss out of the way because you definitely writing yourself in a corner if it's like, oh, he doesn't have any losses.
Yeah.
You're definitely writing yourself in a corner, but I don't. They're just going to do this. Well, he's an attraction. And he's going to end up celebrity guy before he ends up
champion. Yeah.
Champion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, there's two paths. Then it's because I feel like if he loses to AJ or gets a loss early, then he has to come back from that. There's a story there.
Mm-hmm. Or
he just wins a lot. They reach a point where they either realize, okay, we're going to push him to championship or not. And if not, he's going to be built up and then just someone else is going to beat him kind of out of nowhere. And then he's just kind of stuck in this kind of mid-card purgatory where he wins a lot but can't actually win titles. And then, yes, celebrity stuff. So, I mean, unless they add some dimension to his character, he's going to be one-dimensional. That's just not that interesting.
I know the booking was incredibly different back then and the nature of television was a lot different too, but like, you remember how they kept Andre, just because they made the Andre reference, how they kept Andre like away from the title for so long, but he was still undefeated. So when he, eventually was like, hey boss, and Piper was like, this dude's gonna beat you, and Hogan was like, what the fuck? No, you're my friend, and this is my title. And it was like a big deal that Andre was now going for the title because he didn't really seem to give a shit about it before. If they could do that with Omos, where it's like for the longest time he just kind of doesn't give a shit about the title. He just like has like really cool big man destroying matches for a long time. Then maybe once he does, and you give him like 2 years of doing that.
The thing with Andre though, he was like lovable babyface.
I think Omos can do that.
He could be, but the way they've already got this feud going, it kind of feels like they're framing Omos as the heel, and you can't.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I guess WWE could try to pivot to make him lovable babyface, but if that's what they want to do, they're starting off on the wrong foot.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they're totally which is not. They go for the most obvious shit, which will circle us into our Raw review. A lot of the more obvious shit happening. All right, let's talk about the main event scene with day one. One thing I did appreciate about Raw is that they did exactly what I wanted them to do last week, and they made a real team between Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. They might not be going after the tag titles yet.
Did you see
that might happen after day one?
Yeah, well, unless they turn on each other at day one, it's one or the other. I think it was Kevin Owens. What he floated out there as potential team name. It's Coexist, but with KO. I think that was Kevin Owens that put that up.
That's pretty good. I know that WWE.com's or WWE on Fox's social was like,
what's the name of this team? And he said Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. Yeah.
No. I was saying that they had posted a picture of them, and next to them a picture of the 2-man power trip.
Yeah.
Because they both use their finishers also. So that would be rad. They do have tremendous chemistry.
It's off the charts.
It's off the charts. I haven't seen this kind of chemistry since Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho. And this might be even better.
Owens did tweet and says, "We're KO existing." That's what he says, coexisting, but with KO instead of CO.
That's great. That's awesome. I do at this point. I kind of appreciate how the wrestlers have taken that as a joke, and I understand the idea of it doesn't make it any less worse. The concept, if you make fun of it on air, but the fact that wouldn't shock me if Big E was the guy to suggest, let me make fun of the word in the first place, to show people that we kind of know anyways. The wrestlers know how bad the creative is.
They can't really do much about it from a creative standpoint.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm really interested to see how that plays out at day one. I do hope that, they might turn on each other at day one. It might turn into a complete disaster at day one. But after that, I'd love to see them back on the same page as a team.
Now, another interesting aspect of it is the dynamic between MVP and Lashley. Mm-hmm. Are they potentially teasing a Lashley face turn? I know several weeks ago they had that video package, which was a very baby face video package,
Wouldn't it be weird if, like, a couple weeks ago they're laying foundations for him to be a face, and then that's what they end up doing? It means sticking to a plan over the course of like 6 weeks.
I know, because it seemed like that video package ran. The next week, it was MVP coming out and saying, the Almighty, this destructive force is back.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, whatever it is, now he's telling the MVP to stay backstage so he can get through this tag match with Big E.
Man, I think that all these things coming into play reinforces your original assertion that this is probably all just to keep the title on Big E, which is funny because I feel like I always try to get a read on like who is creatively peaking, and I feel like the 3 other guys in the match are creatively peaking more than Big E. I still feel like he needs something else, something more, something different than what he's been doing. And I don't know what that is. I think it's because whenever you're the champion, you have to go into this like stasis, right? Like you have to just not change anything you're doing. He's still incredibly entertaining, but it's like everybody else around him has the advantage of being different and changing and being more interesting.
Well, and also too, while the odds are stacked against him currently, I mean, he's in a 4-way match against arguably the three other top guys on Raw,
Yeah.
I don't really feel like he's in enormous danger of losing that belt.
No, because they're all going to implode. Yeah. Like you said, MVP is probably going to end up somehow screwing over Lashley on accident or not. It'd be great. What if, and it might benefit him behind the scenes. what if MVP ditched Lashley in favor of Omos? Because then you get a couple months of Lashley versus Omos, and maybe there he eats his first loss. That's not a huge, knock on Omos if he loses to Lashley. And on top of that, you get to learn in the meantime from MVP and Lashley, if they're on the road together, whatever they do. That could be kind of cool.
That could work.
And then, like you said, I feel like Seth and Kevin Owens are just going to take themselves out of it.
Probably.
I think they're just going to, they're going to be a mess. Which bodes kind of well for Big E heading into like even the Rumble into Mania,
Yeah,
so,
because Seth and Kevin Owens are going to have a thing. Maybe they'll have a Seth 1-on-1 match with Big E at, say, the Rumble or something. But if the long-term plan is to do something more with Kevin Owens and Seth, well, that kind of takes Seth out of the title picture. Seriously. He's not going to win.
They had a killer match at that empty arena WrestleMania. Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. Circle back around with these characters, with these versions of them.
Well, I mean, this could be the heel version, if you will, of Arcade Bro.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, the dynamic's completely different, but in terms of two heels, especially two heels now with history of feuding, joining up, now for common interest, going after that title. But after this match, maybe, we just realized we work really well together, and them learning to coexist with their chemistry, that could be tons of fun.
Yeah. All right, let's take a quick break here to get a word in from our sponsor, ExpressVPN. Hey, Larson.
Yes.
Let me ask you something.
What?
Imagine, if you will, for a moment, I took a log of everything you did, every minute of the day, when you wake up, when you sleep, what you had for lunch, when you use the toilet, everything. That would be pretty damn creepy, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, what are you trying to say, that you're spying on me? Is that what you're saying here?
No, not yet. But that's pretty much what happens every time you go online, because your internet provider is allowed to store logs of every website you visit, and then they can sell that data to anyone. But I use ExpressVPN when surfing the net, which reroutes my internet connection through their secure servers, so my internet provider can't log what I'm doing online.
Yeah, while many VPNs claim to have a no-log policy, ExpressVPN is the only VPN I trust because they use trusted server technology. See here, Steve, ExpressVPN engineers all their VPN servers to run in RAM, so their servers don't store any data, including the logs, of ExpressVPN customers.
No wonder The Verge named ExpressVPN the #1 VPN in the world. Stop letting people keep logs of what you do online. Visit expressvpn.com/GIR right now and find out how you can get 3 months free.
That's expressvpn.com/GIR. expressvpn.com/GIR to learn more. And let's take a break here to get a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. Several years ago, while dealing with severe anxiety, I learned the importance of talking to a therapist, but I also learned that it could be really difficult to find the right person to talk to. Today, BetterHelp is providing a safe and private online environment where your needs will be assessed and you'll be matched with your own licensed personal therapist.
BetterHelp isn't a crisis line, nor is it self-help. It's professional counseling done securely online, all without having to ever sit in another uncomfortable waiting room.
BetterHelp is dedicated to facilitating great therapeutic matches. Send your counselor messages at any time or schedule regular phone or video sessions. And they made it free and easy to change therapists if needed.
And you don't have to limit yourself to counselors in your area. BetterHelp services are available worldwide, so you can find the expertise you need regardless of location.
We want you to start living a happier life today. As a Going In Raw listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting our sponsor at betterhelp.com/raw. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health.
Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw.
And before we get back to the show, let's get a word from our sponsor, Manscaped. So, Steve,
yeah,
you got your Santa hat on. That must mean the holidays are here.
They're right here.
And I hope you got all the people in your life the gifts they wanted from Santa's sack.
Yeah, man. And if you want to make sure that all the men in your life are taking care of their sack, then make sure you give them the gift of Manscaped, the leader in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their top-selling Performance Package 4.0 has what a guy needs to keep their package operating at peak performance.
Yeah, it includes Manscaped's Lawn Mower Body Trimmer, the best trimmer for balls, butt, and body, and the Weed Whacker Ear and Nose Hair Trimmer, both fantastic products. But of course, let's not forget Crop Preserver, Ball Deodorant, Crop Reviver, Ball Toner, both of which help keep your undercarriage fresh and clean.
And if you order a performance package right now, you'll get 2 free gifts, a great pair of Manscaped boxers and the Shed travel bag. Manscaped also offers shampoo, cologne, body wash, even ball wipes to make sure you don't ring in the new year with stinky sleigh bells.
Whether you're shopping for your partner, dad, brother, or friendo, get them a gift they'll actually use. And right now, you can get 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com with code RAW.
Again, get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with code RAW. Be the ballsiest gift giver this year with Manscaped. Best match of the night was probably, I'm just saying probably because I'm looking at this right here, Bianca Belair versus Doudrop. I don't remember off the top of my head, but Bianca Belair continues to get some of the bigger reactions just for what she does in the ring. And isn't that exactly what you want? You get the people on their feet for that KOD. What a wonderful little feud this was.
I know.
They even reference, hey, this is the last chapter. You've had 3 matches. And the entire time it's about one thing. Can Bianca power up a Doudrop for a KOD?
Yeah, it's simple.
It's a perfect little feud.
Simple, and it's, as you said, it's perfect. And for the most part, the execution was fantastic.
It was, yeah.
You know, and it's great to see, and it's awesome. The crowd is they did ever since, by and large, ever since Bianca dropped the belt to Becky at SummerSlam. I'm still not 100% on board with that decision or how it was conducted or how it was executed. But especially post that immediate feud with Becky after that, they have done a fantastic job with Bianca building her back up.
Oh, yeah.
And she's going to beat Becky at WrestleMania and get that title back. I have no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And these little feuds like this, they're actually doing a really good job with them. And it's great to see because Bianca's fantastic. She's a huge star. She's only going to become a huger star as the years go by if they continue to give her awesome creative like this. She's going to amass a massive fan base. I just wish they would do little things like this on a more regular basis. These are little stories that you could tell up and down the card.
Yeah, I know. And too often it's so haphazard, but yeah, they're definitely keeping Bianca Belair relevant and strong and on the fans' minds. They're not overcomplicating things.
Nope.
Just a series of awesome wins based on what she can do in the ring. She has tons of charisma, and I agree. I think it's absolutely silly if she doesn't take that title off Becky. I think you're creating just a superstar if you do that. Somebody who's definitely not going to take the title off Becky Lynch, Liv Morgan. They have really done her no favors this week. It is sort of a week-to-week thing because there have been weeks when it's like, oh, this is cool. I've never once thought at all that this is anything more than a way to elevate Liv. She's not going to get the title, not anytime soon. Maybe if after the draft she goes to SmackDown, maybe she can take it off Charlotte. I don't see that happening there. But like this week was not a good look for Liv. The promo she delivered in the ring was awkward, and her voice just sounds nervous sometimes.
Sorry, go ahead, continue.
Oh, and then the whole short film of her going to the gym. Let me just say this real quick, and then I'll let you go. I really actually do appreciate the idea that they left the arena and they attempted to do something like this. I thought that was such a great idea. I saw this little short film, this little video clip on social before, and when I saw it, I was like, this is some of the worst filmmaking I've ever seen. How do they not know the fundamentals, the basics of storytelling when it comes to this kind of thing? It's simple. NXT used to do it great. NXT UK does it amazingly. Under the umbrella of WWE, they have people who know how the basics, the fundamentals of narrative storytelling, of filmed narrative storytelling. And for some reason, the show with the biggest budget, main roster Raw, doesn't have somebody on their staff competent enough to edit together the most simple of stories where Liv is trying to attack Becky Lynch.
The whole premise of it doesn't make any sense. You know, Becky says last week, I'm going to go home and train. Well, Liv thinks, I'm going to ambush her at her gym to get her back for smashing my arm. But little did I know that Becky had her own plan in place. Like, what? Like, that's the swerve you're giving us? Why overcomplicate things? If you want Liv to go get revenge for getting her arm smashed, just have her go get revenge for getting her arm smashed.
Yeah.
Why is there this swerve here where she goes and hits, you know, who she thinks is Becky in her gym with a kendo stick? Oh, it's not her. I just don't get who benefits from that. It doesn't. Like from a story perspective, it's overcomplicated. You're overcomplicating this.
Yeah.
Just keep it simple. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Instead of worrying about a swerve in your story here, focus on the basic cinema language of cinema in terms of making that attack thing. Like you open up with this point of view shot of Liv, and you get all these reaction shots, people around the ring. No one's noticing that someone has obviously just walked in, which was established by your very first shot. And then you cut in the ring, and Liv's not getting in the ring on motion. You're supposed to, you know, like in terms of making movies or making anything.
She just teleported.
You want motion going into there because then last we saw her, from the point of view shot, she was outside the ring. Now she's in the ring just standing there awkwardly for a very long time.
Can't tell you how many times they violated the 180-degree rule.
Oh,
it was the camera work was all over the place. There was zero sense of geography here.
Yeah.
You had no idea what was happening. Like Becky Lynch is yelling, and then it cuts to a wide, and there's no cameraman there. And it's like if the entire point of this is like like that first camera shot was supposed to be Liv.
Point of view,
yeah. No, it was because you see her like what. What is this, a movie or is this being filmed? Like you cannot switch that haphazardly between the subjective and the objective camera. These are like basic filmmaking. Like, aren't you? You're in the business of film production, of TV production. How did you not go to school? Is Johnny Ace on the fucking camera?
Maybe he's directing this whole thing.
Hey, all right, then we're gonna shoot. No, the camera is you.
What?
The camera is you. It's your, and then it's not you.
Doesn't make any sense, Johnny Ace.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, it was maddening.
It's so, dude. Just like, man, you just put an ad on Craigslist or something.
Mm-hmm.
We need a cinematographer, director, whatever. We need somebody who knows the basics, so the story isn't so confusing.
I know.
Anyway, they should have. They should have done
what?
They should have had Gigi Dolan be the person in the ring that she attacks because it goes back to the Wrestling News Now thumbnail.
Exactly.
That's the best thumbnail ever. Oh man! All right, let's just dive into it.
Sure.
Opens up with Bobby Lashley and MVP. MVP gets in here, tells the crowd, "Get on your feet and give praise to the Almighty." When you consider what Lashley did last week, you should give him praise. He did what even the most extraordinary individual would call impossible. In the same night, he beat Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, Big E. He says, "I know none of you are athletes. You're not going to understand what it took to do this." Lashley made it look routine. It was tantamount to winning the Boston Marathon, hitting a triple-double in the finals, and then knocking out the UFC heavyweight champion. But now that Lashley's been added to the Day One pay-per-view, no one can ever disrespect him again because he should, he says, he should let you know, when you disrespect him, acknowledge that we are now living in the almighty era. Sorry, I'm reading off your notes here, so I didn't take any notes. So apologies.
You didn't take any notes?
I didn't take any notes.
Oh wow,
Cruz.
Wow.
I did do this though. I did do this amount. I took your notes. I made them. I put them on my own document, and then I lowercased them all, and that makes it actually a lot easier.
Oh, okay. I like
don't know
reading my
why.
notes
Isn't
like
that
I'm
weird?
yelling at me.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I need mellow. I don't.
No, I
yeah.
mean, for me, it's caps and it's just easier to read.
Yeah, but I appreciated you taking notes because I was just like, I don't want to take notes now.
It was a good run while it lasted. What?
I don't want to do that. Hey, in the 2022, I'll start doing it again. But I'm on cruise control right now.
All right, cruise control. How about this for the last week of the year? Neither of us take notes. Let's see what we can come up with.
Okay, deal. Packed.
Deal.
Done.
Right. Deal. So Big E interrupts. I'll just write down like match what happened. One sentence for a promo. That's it.
That's good.
Big E interrupts. He says, "All right, Lashley, you did it. You got yourself in the day one match, made a fatal 4-way, but there's something that sticks in my craw. The Lashley he knows is dominant. He's got a lot of sisters, but when it comes to getting it done in the ring, you do it on your own, which is why it surprised me that you had the MVP came in and hit him in the leg with his cane." So he says, "Maybe, Lashley, you don't have the plums that I thought you had." And Lashley's like, "No, I didn't need any help from anybody." And he said, "MVP, you did that on your own, right?" He says, "I don't need help to beat Kevin Owens, Seth, or you." He says, "I'm no saint, but if you take out someone's knee out, I'll spear him and take the win. But MVP, people are starting to talk about whether I can beat Big E on my own. Before my match last week, MVP, you said, if you can't beat Big E, I will." And Lashley says, "I'm beginning to think you believe that. So in the spirit of competition, let's see if you can. I'm just going to stand over here on the floor, and in the spirit of competition, let's see if this fight happens." So
an MVP is like shitting his pants.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, I didn't see that. That wasn't supposed to happen."
Yeah.
So Big E and MVP circle each other. MVP grabs his cane and he starts threatening him with it. And Big E's like, "Come on, jump, jump." And so the camera angle here is great because you see that going down in the background. In the foreground, off to the side, you see Lashley and he's got his back to the camera. And it's very awkwardly framed here because they had this bit where like Seth and Kevin Owens just sort of jump, like Seth specifically jumps from behind the cameraman, leaps onto Lashley, he collapses, and they start beating him up, throw him into the barricade. And then Big E comes down and makes the save, takes out Kevin Owens. Lashley hits Seth with his Dominator.
Yeah.
Seth was looking for the stomp on Lashley earlier. He doesn't get it till the end of the show.
Then we get a Bianca interview. Sarah is dubbing her match against Doudrop tonight, their final chapter. And Bianca says, "Yeah, it sounds like part of the story that Doudrop made up with her bitterness and envy." She says, "Since I've gotten on Raw, all I've ever done is keep my eyes on the prize. But Doudrop keeps taking her frustrations out on me." Says, "At the end of the day, I'm the EST, and they'll have one final match. And Doudrop will finally learn that no matter how much she attacks her, she'll never take her out. This final chapter will end like all the other chapters with my hand raised."
After that, we had Seth and Kevin Owens backstage, and I'll be honest with you, I could have taken 3 hours of this. These guys are so funny together. I love it. Kevin Owens is telling Seth they got to get Lashley out of the match, and they have to do it tonight. And he's just talking and talking and talking, and Seth's like, "Dude, you need to shut up. You have to shut up. I can't even hear myself think." It's like, "What? Why are you telling me that?" So Pierce and Sonya walk up. Seth is like, the entire thing was Kevin Owens' idea. And Pierce says, "You know what?" He says, "No, it's great. What you guys did was great because it's given us the idea we're going to make one of the most interesting tag matches in the history of Raw. Seth and Kevin Owens versus Big E and Bobby Lashley." And they're like, "Yeah, we don't love that idea." Seth's like, "I like a lot of your ideas, not that one though."
Yeah.
And then Kevin Owens starts talking about it. Seth's like, "You're too loud.
I got to leave to go think."
Kevin Owens like, "Don't leave. No, don't leave me. Don't go away.
We got to strategize.
We have to strategize."
Yeah. It was pretty great.
It's so good.
Next, we got Bianca versus Doudrop. They do such a wonderful job in these matches of referencing the previous two bouts. Beyond just the overarching story of the KOD, but everything. There's little bits in here that reference all their previous matches. It's fantastic stuff. Even within this match, where early on Bianca's going for she goes for a crossbody off the ropes. At first, Doudrop catches her. Eventually, Bianca hits it. The handspring moonsault. At first, Doudrop gets the knees up. Later, Bianca hits it. And then at the end, Doudrop misses a Vader bomb. And then Bianca gets her up for a KOD to get the win. And she got her up on her shoulders, and as she walked to the center of the ring, everybody in that arena stood up to watch that.
Dude, they woke up, and they were cheering for that.
It's great.
Put them in there, do cool shit. People will be into it.
Tell simple stories in the ring. You have people do interesting stuff. People will get behind it.
You do corny shit like the Austin Theory, Vince McMahon stuff. We're going to tune out. Before we had that, though, we had an Austin Theory interview. He said he feels like I'm the luckiest superstar in the world because I'm the only one who hangs out with Mr. McMahon. There was a reason he's so proud of me. Maybe it's all the great selfies I've taken to this point. He says he thinks he holds promise in him, but more than that, he sees me as a future WWE champion.
This stuff is so bad. It's so bad.
Then we had the match.
Yeah. Thankfully, Finn won.
Yeah.
I mean, Austin Theory comes out super aggressive, so he has the advantage early on. He does hit Finn with a draping neck breaker off the apron. Guess what? After
that was nasty.
That was nasty. Raw rolls on.
Rolls on.
After we come back from commercial, Finn mounts a comeback. Finish, though, Theory's looking for his finish. Finn reverses that to like the reverse DDT elbow thing he does. Shotgun drop kick, coup de grace to get the win.
Yep. After that.
Sorry. The reason he got the win, though, is because Austin Theory hit that awesome seated Spanish fly thing off the top. That's crazy when he does that.
That was so beautiful. That was beautiful.
And rather than going right for the pin, he goes and grabs his phone and tries to take a selfie.
Gets down there, starts taking selfies
during
and stuff.
the pin, yeah. And so that costs the match.
Yeah. After that, backstage, Miz is chatting up Omos. Miz is like, "Oh, I'm happy that you shared all that info with me. It's going to be a fascinating edition of Miz TV. See if Edge's talk show can top this." Yes, that's right. We had 2 talk shows during Monday Night Raw last night. Fortunately, they were both not terrible, I guess.
Yeah, I guess they didn't. Neither of them really overstayed. Although maybe Miz TV did a little bit. So Miz TV opens up with Miz telling Maurice, "I love you. Think about our family before you talk about the relationship on Cutting Edge." Introduces AJ and Omos. They come to the ring. As soon as Omos gets in there, he takes his chair and chucks it out. And Miz is like, "You guys haven't really been in sync lately." AJ says, "Oh, kind of like you and your wife." And Miz says, "This isn't about me. This isn't about my wife. It's about the two of you. Has the magic left? Has the magic gone?" And AJ says, "Hey, it's growing pains, but we're on the same page. We're unstoppable." He says, "When I saw Omos' untapped potential, I knew I had to take him under my wing, and he's made great strides since then. In fact, he could be tag champ on his own." He says, "That's how good he could become." He says, you know, I know we went off the rails a little bit there, but what that happens, now we're back on the same page. They're seeing eye to eye, so much so that I think that we could take all the titles."
Mm-hmm.
And Miz goes, "Oh, I heard otherwise from the man closest to the situation, Omos." And AJ says, "Oh, I see what you're doing here." Asks Miz what kind of man puts the mother of his children in harm's way. Who does that? And Miz says, "Well, maybe if you had conversations with Omos like I did, then you know they weren't on the same page." And he was shocked when Omos confided in him. Omos told Miz, sick and tired of carrying AJ. That's just the beginning. Says the moment he stepped foot in WWE, Omos knew he was the brightest star in WWE. AJ is holding him back, and their mutual respect is very one-sided. Asked AJ, "How long did it take you to get WWE? 15 years? WWE begged Omos to sign a contract." And he says, Omos said it best. He's not the next Andre. He's the first Omos.
Yeah. And then AJ asks Miz if he's done. He says, "This is why we shouldn't have come on in the first place." He asks Omos, he's like, "Dude, is this what's going on? Is this what's, really true?" And Omos is about to answer, and he's interrupted by 619. "I'm your new puppy, yes." The Mysterios.
Yeah.
Dom and Ray versus AJ Styles and Omos. And in the end here, AJ Styles went to go tag in Omos, and Omos was like, "Nope, not going to do it."
Just leaning on the ropes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That led to AJ Styles eating, what was it? It wasn't a roll-up.
Yeah, it was a roll-up.
Oh, yeah, it was a roll-up, yeah. And then AJ steps up to Omos. He's like, "I never should have taken you under my wing because you're a piece of trash." Omos shoves him. AJ attacks him. As Omos gets into the ring, Omos shoves him off. AJ punches him, looks for a phenomenal forearm. Omos catches him, hits a huge press slam. Omos grabs a mic, says, "The next time I see you, it'll be in a match against me, you trash ass." He threw the trash ass.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty rough there, Omos.
That was pretty rough.
That cuts harder than a press slam, calling somebody trash ass.
I know. After that, we had Randall Keith Orton versus Chad Gable. Short, fun little match.
This was a delight. This was one of those matches where Orton was like, "Oh man, I get to have fun with a wrestler."
I know,
because Gable's doing all sorts of crazy wrestler stuff, and Orton's like responding to it.
And, then the finish was great too.
Yeah, the finish was awesome.
So Gable escapes Randy's draping DDT. He's looking for a German suplex. Orton escapes that. Gable is looking for an arm drag, and Orton kind of like sidesteps him.
Yeah,
gives him a little like shimmy, hits an RKO on him.
Yeah,
and Gable just plants himself. I know, he just plants
fucking
himself.
Cell. He spikes his head on the. I've seen this happen a couple times with the more athletic. I think maybe a Mustafa Ali would do this, or a Ricochet. Those dudes that plant themselves in the RKO I would assume backstage Orton, gives him an extra hug or something because it looks beautiful when they do that.
I know.
It really does.
It's great.
So then, Otis hits the ring and Orton goes for three times, tries for an RKO, and each time Otis is able to shove him off. When you do that, that's a good way to help build Otis by having him block a bunch of RKOs. But it's possible that I'll buy into Otis at some point as like a scary monster. I'll believe when I see it. But for now, it's just he's still. Oh yeah, to me, I miss that Otis.
The wrestler who broke my heart at Money in the Bank.
I know, my goodness. Yeah, I owe him so much for that.
Then after that, we had Lashley and MVP are in the locker room. So MVP is asking Lashley, "Hey, do you trust Big E?" Lashley says no, but tonight I'm worried about beating up Owens and Seth. And if Big E so much it looks at me the wrong way, I'll beat him up too. And MVP's like, the thing earlier where you were telling me to fight Big E, you were setting up a trap, right? Yeah. And Lashley says, I have a match. I need to hydrate. Can you go grab me some water?
Yeah, sure. Didn't quite get that answer then. After that, we had some Christmas themed 24/7 stuff. I was thinking. So I'm pretty rough, and you are too on the 24/7 stuff. I'm curious, either here in our Twitch chat or in our comments, are there people out there with like kids that are into this? Because I think like Alabama doesn't watch wrestling. Every once in a while she'll watch it. Like she enjoys playing. Like we she likes to wrestle. We do the super kick with the thigh slap and she'll fall. We'll do that stuff.
Yeah.
We goof around, but she doesn't really watch it with me. But if she did, she might be into this kind of stuff. And I'm curious if
question.
This appeals to anybody's kids. If anybody sits there and watches wrestling and the kids are like, Bama used to be into the Firefly Funhouse. Because like, superficially, obviously, he was doing Mr. Rogers. And then when it would go with the demon stuff, she'd be like, yeah, I don't like this. But with the puppets and stuff, obviously that's what kids are into. And maybe this is just the kind of stuff that it's like, okay, well, they're doing it for comedy's sake.
It appeals to some demographic. Yeah.
Concert crap here in chat says my kid loved the Firefly Funhouse too. Enforcer says my brother was entertained by it a few weeks ago, but he was super stoned. Everybody's doing what they can. So Reggie and Dana Brooke are out on a date, looking at some Christmas tree stuff, and then what is it like? Tozawa is there? Oh, Truth is Santa Claus. Tamina tries to attack. She attacks Tozawa first, is like, hey, I told you to stay out of my way. Mm-hmm. She attacks Dana Brooke after she goes on the run. She is unsuccessful because Dana Brooke, gives her like a V-trigger or something. and then her and Reggie run away.
Yeah.
I swear the last thing she did was a V-trigger. She gives her big knee strike to the head.
I'll be honest, when this came on, I'm like, this is so bad.
All the Christmas lights were hanging down.
Yeah.
And I was like, she gave her a V-trigger. I like Dana Brooke. I want to see her do good.
No, I do too. But, she, by all accounts, she has worked super hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want her to succeed. It's just, this is just not that interesting. It's just not. It's the same thing every week. They could kind of try to do little bits with Reggie, but it's more or less the same thing every week. And until that it gets more involved or advances, it's hard for me to really care about it. I
feel like there's a way you can make it appeal to kids and adults at the same time. And this maybe just appeals. Jorge says, I'm in middle school. I work at a few kids. In my middle school I work at, a few kids have wrestling shirts. They love the silly stuff. Brain Dead says, my son just asked if we could do something else when I watch wrestling. James O'Fett says, my niece likes good women's matches more than the 24/7 stuff. She also likes the Funhouse. Funhouse was over with kids, man.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, man. Next up, we got Damian Priest versus Dolph Ziggler.
And they went back to Priest flipping the switch and getting angry.
Oh, yeah. He got himself counted out because he got angry over Bob Roode yanking him off the apron to the ground. Priest gets mad, starts laying into Roode. He gets counted out. And then Mike Rome announces Dolph is the winner. Priest gets pissed about that, gets in the ring, but Dolph super kicks him. Priest kind of no-sells. Dolph gets out of dodge. Priest picks up Rude down there on the floor, hits him with the Reckoning.
And they announced that next week is going to be Dolph versus Priest for the U.S. title.
Oh, yeah, because this was a championship contender match. That's right. They even said that.
Yeah. After that, we had a Finn Balor interview. He's asked, was your win tonight against Austin Theory was satisfying? He says, yes. He says, I hope Theory took plenty of selfies out there while he was getting his ass beat. But he says, now on to more important. As soon as he finishes the word important, Austin Theory just lays him out, hits the belly to back on a road case, and then takes a selfie with Finn while he's writhing in pain.
Yeah.
Oh, this
now we're back
next
in
bit was so bad.
Vince's office.
This is so terrible.
I can't understand like 70% of the shit that comes out of Vince's mouth. It's time to keep him off TV. Give him like that Undertaker Survivor Series. I don't know. What's the anniversary of the first time Vince Jr. was on TV? It's probably like the late 70s, I would imagine.
Something like that, because he was doing commentary for a long time.
So, I mean, I don't know what the event has to be. This dude needs to say goodbye. So Theory apologizes for the loss. He was foolish. He tried to take a selfie when he shouldn't have, but he lost. He said, but I got Finn back. I attacked him. A calculated, cold-blooded attack. I got him back. Vince said, I enjoyed seeing that, beating up Finn. But you lost the match, and you don't know what to do, and I don't know what to do about it. Maybe I should fire you. And then he says he enjoys firing people, especially firing people right before the holidays. Now, had the WWE not actually fired people around the holiday time, this might be, okay, I can separate the character from, but we all know he's the boss. We all know he signs off on actual releases and actual firings, and this has actually happened around holidays.
Yeah.
It's just...
It's tone deaf is what it is.
Yep.
Tone deaf.
It gives me a warm feeling in my stomach, like I had a really good meal. But I'm going to give Theory a chance. I'm going to give you a rematch next week against Finn.
And Austin's like, that's all I need, a rematch. So he's going to have a rematch against Finn. He thanks him, and then Vince says
I didn't become a ruthless billionaire by making bad investments. I hope I'm not making another one.
And Theory says, you're not. And Vince says,
remember the eraser.
And then he erases something off a piece of paper, and then he blows the bits of eraser at Theory. And then he ho-ho-hos like he's Santa Claus.
It didn't make any sense. It's terrible. Terrible. Awful. So
it's really bad, dude. It's really bad.
It is really bad. Then we get the cutting edge with Maurice. So Maurice comes out, and she's like, hey, Edge, we're not leaving here friends. So, but, you know, she's like, I just want this platform out here to speak my mind. Miz will let me get on Miz TV and talk. Calls him narcissistic, arrogant, says she can't even do an interview with him because he won't shut the fuck up. He won't shut up. And Edge is like, all right, go ahead, carry on, talk on. And she's like, I don't like being here. Most people know me as Maurice on TV, where everything is perfect. I'm a human being, and I want respect. I want the Miz to thank me. She says, I love him, but I just want a huge thank you for everything I do for the family. She says, I take care of everything. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. And last week, Edge, you could have really hurt me bad, and you didn't. And at the end of the day, you understood that I'm a mom, and if something happened to me, then who's going to take care of my kids? And she asks Edge, well, have you done something like this to your wife, Beth? And Edge says, I'm sorry that your life is some kind of horrible country song. And he asks her, is anybody else buying this? And he says, Maurice, cut the act. Miz sent you out here to lull me into some false sense of security so he can jump me and leave me laying. He calls out the Miz, says this is low for even him. And to answer your question, Maurice, would I do this to Beth? No, because I respect her. So the Miz's music hits. Edge turns his attention to the stage, but wisely he's turned his full attention to the stage because Miz tries to attack him from behind. Edge ends up booting him to the floor. Maurice hits Edge from behind with a purse and then slaps him, and the Miz comes back in the ring, hits him with a skull-crushing finale. And, yeah, it was a plan all along.
Yeah, like, wouldn't you...
Like, if you're going to have this plan come to fruition, wait till the match happens.
Wait till the match.
So you win the match.
That's what I thought it was going to be. I thought they were going to continue the ruse here on, they were going to do something else like Edge. Oh, I got you. I know that you're just concocting this plan here. And then they would do something else
to
make Edge question, oh, maybe not. Maybe they're actually having problems.
So I thought it was going to happen too. We were wrong.
We're wrong. We'd be wrong. A similar thing did happen in the Pacific Northwest territory. Late
1982.
Yeah. After that, we had Rhea Ripley versus Queen Zelina. Zelina has a promo on the way to the ring where she calls the crowd dairy-loving peasants. I love Zelina Vega. I think she's great.
Yeah.
She says she gets pissed off at the crowd booing her, collects herself. She says, what I meant to say was, even without Nikki, Rhea isn't royal enough to end her reign. Nikki, I'm sorry, Rhea Ripley just looks like an absolute star, and I really wish they'd start treating her as such. Yeah. Anyways, so Rhea ends up getting the win here with Riptide. Yeah, clean match. Got the win with Riptide and looked like $1 million doing it. So
Yep.
Good for her.
Then we got a Big E interview. So Sarah's about to talk about whether he and Bobby Lashley could coexist, and he goes, no, don't say that word.
We don't say that filthy C word.
Yeah. And he says, tonight isn't about whether I and Bobby can coexist. It's not about whether they're the best tag team in WWE. It's about setting the tone for him for day one to do that. It says, like a preacher on Sunday, I got to lay hands on Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. So then Lashley steps in, and Big E asks him, you here to bump your gums or to fight? Or can I expect MVP to take another swing with his cane? And Lashley says, I didn't need MVP's help last week, and I won't need it day one to put you or anywhere else in the Hurt Lock to take the WWE title. But tonight I'm focusing on Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. And he asks, so Big E, can I trust you? And Big E says, you don't have to worry about me. Just make sure you leave MVP in the back when you come out tonight. And Lashley says, I'll take care of it.
I'll take care of that. Then we had this Liv Morgan promo.
Segment was so long.
Like, I understand that you can put part of it on creative. They give you the dialogue, you got to memorize, you got to go out there and say it in front of people. But WWE already has too many people who can take dialogue, who can go out there at the last minute, and who can turn bad dialogue into serviceable dialogue. They have plenty of people who can do that. Liv's voice sounds nervous. Yeah. It lacks confidence. Like a couple weeks ago when she did, hey, Becky, you were crying. It was fine. Like I was like, oh, she sounds like she has command of the situation here. This week she comes out and she's supposed to be the one with the upper hand. And I actually thought the little bit with, well, Becky, this kendo stick is for you. I'm giving you the advantage.
Yeah.
You can come in here now. I thought that was actually a clever little bit of storytelling there. But like it was everything else about this was just Liv just sounds nervous and she doesn't sound believable as champion. I saw somebody on Twitter, one of the wrestling pundits say, are they really going to change titles at day one? No, Liv looks like she's still 5 years away from belonging in any sort of title scene whatsoever. Maybe like the women's tag title scene.
Yeah, there's only one person who's beaten Becky for that belt, and that's Bianca Belair.
I think Bianca, and I think that's going to happen. I think that Rhea Ripley is another person who could conceivably be champion.
In terms of what's going to happen first, it's going to be Bianca beat
absolutely.
Becky.
I'm just saying, like, I think there are several people above Liv that would work as champion. I think Doudrop's one of them too. I think Doudrop in the ring, on the mic, whatever. Yeah. I think she's got it. I think she could be champion. Bianca absolutely will be champion. But yeah, I just don't say hell. Even kind of Zelina to a degree. If they booked her on a winning streak, I think that she has it. Over Liv, I'm sorry. I know that's going to catch a lot of heat for that, but whatever. It's just sort of what I see. She says last week she challenged Becky to a rematch day one. And as we all saw, good old Rebecca tried to injure her before accepting her rematch. She says, I laid there with my arm stuck between those steps. I knew that no matter how much pain I was in, I couldn't let Becky get the upper hand. So when Becky was leaving last week, she said she was going home to train. So I knew she was going to go to her private gym she owns with her try-hard husband in Iowa. And without a doubt in my mind, I was going to follow Becky there to even the playing field. But little did she know that Becky's plan, that was Becky's plan all along. Some might have watched this over the weekend on social media, but for those who didn't, look at the Tron, and then we get the silly video.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Liv admits that Becky may have been a step ahead of her, but Becky was so threatened by her that she had one of her students disguised as her because she knew that Liv was coming for payback. Says, yeah, I feel bad. I beat up an innocent woman, but I was happy when I thought it was Becky. Says Becky is willing to sacrifice one of her students. She doesn't even care. That's disgusting. At day one, it won't be a fair fight. Becky will try to cheat to win, but she welcomes it because at the end of the day, it's going to be her with her arm raised, and Becky could hang out with her baby and her hot husband. Becky could try to break her arm, but at day one, she'll break Becky's face, become new champ. So Becky comes out in the ramp and says, oh, Liv, congratulations on foiling my master plan. You may have broken, she says, you really banged up my student. You may have broken her elbow, but you got to crack a few eggs to make an omelet, right? Says her students understand that in this business you have to pay your dues. Says I paid mine. That's why I'm not soft. That's why it takes more than a few whacks with a kendo stick to keep me down, and that's why when you're big time, you don't have time to be down. So I'm not so optimistic about your dodgy arm there, Liv. And Liv says it only took one arm to kick your ass, and Becky's like, okay, touche. Sometimes even the best laid plans go awry, but she did show her students a lesson that everyone can get lucky once. And what she says, what I'm going to teach my students at day one is that your luck runs out. Liv got lucky, but she has stepped up more than she thought she would. She became number one contender for the title, made a spotlight for herself, but it gets very hot under those lights, and she doesn't think Liv can handle the heat. And Liv says, Becky, you can't scare me out of this match because I'm starting the new year as champ. I'm feeling pretty good here in the spotlight. Come on over here and take a look for yourself. Becky retorts, as much as I would like to go in there and give you another bad arm, I'm not an idiot. I'm not going to get in there when you're wielding a kendo stick around like a maniac. And that's when Liv says, I didn't bring this for me. I brought it for you. She throws it out to the floor. And Becky's like, don't insult me. I'm the longest reigning champ for a reason. You're lucky I have a private jet to catch. And she just tosses her mic and walks out.
Yeah. No, I thought the little switcheroo with here's the kendo stick thing. I thought that was pretty good, but
yeah.
Otherwise, yeah. I mean, that was a lot. And then we have our main event: Big E and Bobby Lashley. Can they coexist versus Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens? Already coexisting just fine. And yeah, I mean, this is a lot of fun. A lot of people being thrown over their heads. So yeah, that was great.
It was
because a lot of Big E and Lashley do are just throwing people over.
I do it overhead belly to bellies. I know.
Overhead belly to bellies are my favorite. They're great. So anyways, yeah. Did you think the finish to this?
Yeah.
That was a botch, wasn't it?
Yeah, because Kevin Owens was like, it was 2. He was.
Yeah, it
Seth
was.
late breaking up the pin. Yeah.
He was late breaking up the pin, and he was like, no, that was 2. And then ref was like, I gotta call this as a shoot, man. I'm sorry, but they were pretty smooth about it. But yeah, it was like too close for it to be not a botch. Yeah.
But yeah, as soon as so Lashley he accidentally spears Big E because Seth leapfrogs, and then he ends up hitting the spear on Kevin Owens to get the win. So Seth gets in there and kicks Lashley, which I think was supposed to happen at 2 3/4. Instead, it happened about 3 3/4.
Yeah.
So that he and Kevin Owens start beating up Lashley ringside. They hit both Lashley and Big E with the ring steps, and then they hit a apron powerbomb on Lashley, and then Seth follows with a stomp on the ring steps, and then Owens and Seth get in the ring. They shake hands, and they kind of walk to opposite sides of the ring.
And they're sort of looking back at each other, and you're like, oh, are they going to attack each other? And then they go and they just have a big
rush each
hug.
other and they hug. That's pretty great.
That was a pretty great way to send off Raw.
Yeah. It really was. These two are. If it wasn't for these two,
Raw would be a lot harder to watch.
Raw would be much more difficult to watch. Absolutely.
Yeah. You want to answer a couple questions?
Yeah, let's answer some questions. I got a thread up here on the Patreon at patreon.com/Steven Larson. If you want the show ad-free in the audio realm, $5 a month gets you both the show and the bonus episodes. We got a bonus episode coming up today, Friendo Club TV. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but I'm sure it'll be great. Let's see here. David Matushek starts us off saying, can you guesstimate as to when Veer will actually come on Raw before the end of January? So these started on, we're almost at 2 months now. It's October 25th.
Yeah.
The first one. So we're almost at 2 months, which would be about 60 days. which is not abnormal for these types of things.
What's interesting about this is that they've more or less been the same thing, just Veer's coming.
Oh yeah,
as opposed to vignettes that build in anticipation of the debut. Yeah,
is it a joke at this point in creative?
It could be.
Like I'm saying, is it an active joke?
It could.
I'm sure everybody thinks it's funny. I think it might be like just.
You're asking if this like an Emelina situation where people in creative think it's funny to tease this debut and not really have it happen anytime soon.
They're putting it off because they think it's funny.
It's entirely possible.
It's possible. I would definitely say he's not going to show up. Didn't they film? They filmed both episodes last night, didn't they? Was it last night the double filming?
Yeah. Wait, no, they don't have to do a double film for Raw because it's on Mondays. SmackDown, they have to do the.
SmackDown. That's right. So I would suggest that it's probably going to be in January.
Yeah, it'll be early next year.
Yeah, I would say before the end of January, probably like mid-January. I'd give it less than a month.
I'm just trying to do something, ass. I wonder what this new Damian Priest would have done if Larson offered him a donut. I guess if he didn't like the donut selection, maybe he would have got very angry with me. Slapped the box of donuts out of my hand.
You were very respectful. I don't know if there's necessarily if he had grabbed one and took a bite, and then you said, no, not that, and you snatched it away from him.
Then he would have been upset.
Yeah, I think so.
But I wouldn't have done that.
Or if you'd have said, lol, joke's on you. You're eating that. I coughed on it. I don't know. Let's see here. Nicholas Martin says, "What if they brought back the mixed match challenge? What combos would you think would be fun to see?"
Oh, I don't really want to see. Given history, I don't really want to see Seth and Becky on screen again in a wrestling capacity. That being said, with the characters they have now, that could be a lot of fun, especially the mixed match challenge where there's not scripted. It's kind of off the cuff. I think that could be a lot of fun.
You know, it'd be even more fun is if you put Becky with Kevin Owens and Seth is just sort of their manager.
That would be good. That would be good.
That would be good.
Jorge D, in the AJ versus Omos feud, how would you have the outcome be that Omos re-debuts himself as the Big Show with the Big Show's theme?
I'm all in. Yes, do that.
But how would you do it? That's the question.
It just happened. The music was.
You need no build or explanation. It just happens.
It would be well. I mean, you could. I guess since Vince is there, Vince would be backstage with Omos, and he'd say, "Here, I've got this catalog of gimmicks that we own. Choose one."
It's not here. We have a new awesome creative idea for you. Let's recycle something from the past.
Yeah, he's like, "Here, Big Show.
You're the Big Show now."
And he calls him on the phone. "Is this the Big Show?" Yep. Let's see here.
Well, it's a good question from Maggie. It says, I get that Raw is trying to be a variety type of wrestling show. Let's say we got rid of all the talk show segments. What kind of mini segments would you rather see? Training montages, backstage interactions between circles of talent, wrestle house type stuff. You can pick anything. Number one would be like the unscripted promos they do for .com. Do that kind of stuff.
I'd love to see. So like, I had it in my head. It's like the day after the Monday after SummerSlam. Wait, no. Bianca was on SmackDown at the time. So the Friday after SummerSlam, you do a 10-minute piece that is 24 hours after, like the 24 hours after of Bianca Belair's first 24 hours after SummerSlam. Mm-hmm. You see her come through the curtain. Montez, is there to give her some emotional support. Mm-hmm. You're in the car with her. You get her thoughts, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Like making them more relatable.
Yep.
No.
Yep. Exactly.
And they can stay. You can have bad guys stay in character. Like do the same thing, or the flip side, do the same thing with Becky. Let's see how much of a quote unquote diva she's become. Now that she came back, she won the title. Who is this new person? Let's get to know her a bit better.
Exactly. And when you're doing backstage segments without motivating the camera, get rid of those. Do fly on the wall stuff.
There is zero reason why MVP should be asking Bobby Lashley these embarrassing questions. Hey, did you really mean?
While the camera's right there, I know.
If you hung me out to dry like that, I would not allow a camera to be in the room and like, hey, dude, did you try to fuck me? Did you try to fuck on me out there?
Mm-hmm. Imagine that same thing if like a camera is just kind of peeking out from behind a doorway, you know?
Yeah.
It's like we know it's set up. There's camera crews back there trying to capture what's going on backstage during the show. You just establish that, and then you just follow that to its natural conclusion.
How much more interesting was that backstage interaction between Goldberg and Matt Riddle? That was real. It's caught on camera.
Yeah.
Versus what you see on presentation on Raw, a similar type of thing that's staged. You can stage, for all we know, the Riddle Goldberg thing was staged. You can stage interactions like that.
Yeah.
And they'll come across like, oh, wow.
Well, like when Batista laid out Flair when he came
that was
back.
great. Yeah.
When he literally grabbed the cameraman and says, come here. That was really good.
It's bizarre to me that they're so stuck on the presentation tropes.
I know.
That they are.
I know.
JTV, if you had to change one of the Going In Raw hosts to create the can they coexist trope, who would you choose as a replacement? So we need a thing where it's like, can they coexist? So like,
but
I don't know anybody who like I mean, wouldn't that be somebody like that we traditionally wouldn't get along with?
Yeah.
I don't want to say any names. I don't want to say any names. People, I don't know if I can get along with them. I like to think I can get along. I can coexist peacefully with everybody.
Yeah. I mean, man from out west says easy. Larson and Hilton.
Oh yeah.
I mean, myself and Luchando did that. That was the whole premise for a show, and I ripped his mask off out of anger.
And it was Hilton underneath.
Well, I was there. I don't remember that being the case.
I can show you a picture of it.
I mean, pictures.
How has that been
deleted
doctored from
I don't
memory?
really take that as evidence.
The video is available. We can watch it
again
on Smash Zone in 3 weeks.
Videos can be doctored, so you know.
I'm gonna run that video on Smash Zone.
Sure. How do I know you didn't do one of your face app things in there?
You know, it's a fair point. Blake Whitehouse, do you think Veer would take this long to come if he went to manscaped.com and used code RAW to get 20% off his order and free shipping? I mean, he'd probably be there if he knew all that info.
Marcus, do you think AJ Styles being in NXT 2.0 tonight has anything to do with the football games? Maybe. There's 2 NFL games tonight that got postponed.
Oh, yeah.
Entirely possible. White Brownie says Kevin Owens recently said 2.0 should drop the NXT name because he feels it hurts the legacy NXT has. Do you agree with him?
Yep.
Yeah,
I think
they should have changed the name probably.
They should have had a series finale, and then the same thing they did back when it was going from ECW to NXT. It was like ECW's ending, and we are, next week, find out what's next in NXT. I remember seeing that and being like, ooh, what's that? And then it was a game show.
I know.
But yeah, you have the name evolve.
Yeah, use it. Maggie says 9 days. 9 days.
9 days.
9 days.
9 days.
9 days left for Steve on Cody Island.
Oh, it's so nice here, though. It's so nice. I'm going to enjoy every moment of it. Oh, wow, yeah. Enforcer says, what wrestler needs to have the roll-up as a finishing move?
Oh, great question.
Because it's the most powerful move in the WWE.
I feel like, this is what I feel like. I know End of Days is a fun finish. It's a great finish. At the end of the day, though, what's Baron's weakness? The roll-up.
Yeah.
What better way to mitigate that than to employ the roll-up on your own?
Yeah.
Roll up your opponents before they can roll you up.
That's good.
There's a story there.
Fruit to Loop. I like changing history. He says, what's one injury or illness a wrestler had that had a major effect on storylines? Would you want to go back and have not happen just so you can see how things would have turned out instead? Easy. Triple H's quad tear to see how the 2-man power trip would have played out. I think that could have been interesting.
This would have led to a match between Triple H and Stone Cold.
That's correct.
End up happening, I think.
Yeah. Stunner.
So
All right, Paul, let's go to the finish. What's the finish? Stunner! I'm going to beat you with a Luthez press, you dumb son of a bitch.
Oh, wow.
It's a stunner.
Wow, Luthez press for the win.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
All right. Oh, yeah, that's right. And the Cody TNT title match is on
Christmas Day, yeah.
So is there not going to be a Rampage on Friday night?
No, it's on Saturday.
It's going to be moved over to Saturday.
Yeah, Christmas. It's for the Christmas, Steve.
What are they going to do on Friday night instead?
Probably nothing.
AEW presents Christmas. It's a Wonderful Life. Yeah.
No, I think, isn't it TNT that runs a Christmas story all day on Christmas Eve?
Oh, that could be, yeah.
Or is it TBS? I don't remember.
Yeah, you're going to shoot your eye out.
I've seen that movie a lot.
I don't know if I've ever actually sat through it in one sitting, but I've seen the entire thing.
It's like me with Jaws.
I'm like that with a couple movies.
Yeah.
I'm like that with the entire series of Outlander, because Lacey would watch it like endlessly, and I would always just walk in. So I know everything that happens.
Yeah.
It's just I've never sat down to watch it. It's always walking through the room.
Oh, it is TNT. It is TNT.
TNT.
With Christmas story,
Yeah.
so that's why it's on Saturday. All right. Guess I know what I'm doing Friday. You should do the same. You should finally watch it, Steve.
No. I'm happy with the way I've seen it.
Maybe you're missing something by not seeing it all in one sitting.
Maybe you're missing something by telling me what to do. What do we got going on tonight? Oh, we got Friendo Club TV tonight. And then over at Twitch, MF Steve here, we're going to watch NXT 2.0 as a watch along. Me and the Enforcer do that. So be sure to check that out. Go follow that. Thanks, everybody. Till next time, I'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.